Mayor New Orleans, Mayor Phoenix, a number of mayors from the East Coast all the way to the West Coast, and we're going to get a chance to go. That will be my second trip as a mayor. So going back this time, I'm not taking the family, but it will be a wonderful opportunity. So I will certainly bring back some souvenirs and mementos for my friends and family while I'm there. Let me start by saying thank you, Steve, Paul. Thank you so much for all the effort it takes to bring this great group of leaders together. If you've had an opportunity to put together a gathering, which every one of you has, you know it takes a lot of work to do that. And I really want to thank you for doing that. I want to thank everybody for taking time out of your busy day to come down and just break some bread, share some time together as leaders in our community. Thank you to Chick-fil-A. The food was, let's give them a nice and it's just good to live in a town where we can do this. And I've been your mayor now for 8 years. I've got just about 90 days, about 3 months left. And we self-term limited, if you go back and remember. So we by choice ran the first time, didn't know if we'd get elected. By choice ran the second time, didn't know if we'd get reelected. And here we are. But we made a commitment to our community when I ran the first time that after 8 years, we want to really try to facilitate a positive handoff in the mayor's office for the first time in, gosh, who knows when, generation, maybe decades, maybe for just a long time, let's say. So we're really working hard to do that in our last 90 days. We are incredibly busy. We have a lot of things going on, both from the built environment standpoint and from the initiative standpoint. I'll talk about a few of those here today, this morning. But we are absolutely sprinting to the finish line, as us track and field guys like to say. So but we need your help, and we continue to really rely on you and lean on you as a faith community to get really, really important things done in our community. We just cannot do all of these things as government. I'll tell you, I've been on a direct contact with Sylvester Turner. He's the mayor of Houston. I've been in direct contact with Steve Adler, who's the mayor of Austin. We're texting back and forth, and I just basically let them know that Albuquerque is here. We are here for them. If they need resources from APD, Chief Eden's been in contact with their chief of police. I know the governor you saw yesterday, the New Mexico National Guard, is working on preparations, but I've also reached out just mayor to let folks know that Albuquerque is ready to stand with them in their time of need, and I have no doubt that our city will really rise up and help. We did during Katrina, and we will during Harvey, and we will during the next disaster, and the one after that, and the one after that, because that's just the way we're wired here. We have a servant's heart in this community, and I see it every day as a mayor. And that is in great part due to your efforts in your congregations from all across the spectrum of the faith community. So once again, very, very grateful for that. I know you're praying for Clovis during their time of tragedy. I've reached out and left messages and received texts back and forth from Mayor Lansford, who's the mayor of Clovis. He appreciates your prayers. And we are, once again, making resources available to them should they need it, whether it's counseling services, some of the things that we have in a big city that not every city has the capability to do. We do that a lot. We give trucks away, fire trucks that are older. We give dump trucks away that are at the end of their life here in the city of Albuquerque, and we consistently give that to smaller communities. A year or so ago, we gave a lot of firefighting equipment that we cannot use by code in the United States to the city of Mexico. So we just do a lot of things with your tax dollars beyond just the things you would normally think of. But we really feel like we have license to do that because of you, because you give us that license. And some of the things that we are talking about as mayors across the United States right now, Albuquerque is really shining. And we're really working hard to make gains. And some of those, as you heard recently, our homelessness initiative that we work with St. Martin's. Not too long ago, I think it was in February, I went to Washington, D.C., and I gave a little TED talk. Anybody seen TED before? Yeah, really smart people on there talking about really interesting ideas. For some reason, they invited me. because I'm neither smart nor do I usually that interesting. But gave a TED Talk on the Better Way program that we do with St. Martin's. And I know that we're going to have Greg come up here and talk about another initiative in just a few minutes. But it gave us a chance to, thank you, Corey, that'd be great. Gave me a chance to brag on you and what we're doing with panhandling. As you know, the Better Way initiative is where we go out in the van every day, pick up panhandlers, and offer them a day's work, pay them cash, and at the end of the day, connect them with services, mental health services, substance abuse services, lots of different things. And we've had 3,000 day jobs provided so far. We've cleaned up over 500 city blocks. We've picked up 150,000 pounds of trash, and it's been an amazing thing. But the most amazing thing with Better Way is what happens to people. You treat them with dignity and respect, and you give them a day's work, and they get to the end of the day, and they're much, much more likely to invest in themselves in whatever way they need to invest. And it's great that we have programs in our city to do that. Doug Chaplin's here from my family community. Heidi's here from family community as well. Gary Opedal's here from Economic Development Department. Beverly's here with him. I've got my deputy chief of staff here. We have a lot of programs in the city of Albuquerque where we can connect people to if we just get them to step forward and invest in themselves. So I went out and gave the TED Talk and did the best that I could, and lo and behold, it's now made it to the main TED space, and I think somebody said we had close to 500,000 views on that around the country now. I got a tweet this morning from a lady in the UK, in London, that wants to start it there. I've spoken to people in Australia about the program. I've spoken to people in Canada about the program. I think there's 30 at least cities in the United States that are adopting it. I know Chicago, Denver, Dallas, Seattle, lots of cities are. And that's just something that we did here. And we did it together, and it works. And so we should always understand that we have the capacity here. And Steve mentioned something about budgets. Well, there's no budget on your heart. You know, there's no budget on how much you can give of yourself. There's no budget on caring for someone and loving our brothers and sisters. So we have that in abundance here, and that's one of the reasons too that we should call ourselves really fortunate. So I was just recently in New Orleans, and then had some of the flooding from the first storm that came through just a couple of weeks ago. And the mayors that are in the leadership group at the U.S. conference come from all over the United States, big cities, small cities. And we're talking about challenges that face cities in general right now. And Albuquerque would fall right in that category of the main challenges that almost everybody is facing. On the top of mayors' minds right now is opioid addiction across the country. Crime's on everybody's mind. And this gap, this inequity, this inability for some of our community to get gainfully employed. Maybe they have skill sets that don't match the current economy. Maybe the current economy just hasn't caught up with them. Lots of different reasons, but those are the things that we're talking a lot about. And then we're also talking about homelessness. We're talking about panhandling again. A Supreme Court decision in 2015 in Gilbert, Arizona basically wiped out every panhandling prohibition in the United States. So mayors are having to start thinking about doing what we've been doing here now for a couple of years, and that is not just kick that can down the road, not just buy a bus ticket to the next town, but figure out how to get to the root of these issues. And then I get to talk about heading home, and you have all been so instrumental in heading home. I think, Doug, we announced this Sunday we're right at 700 people that we've been able to house. Getting close to 700. Hopefully by the time I leave office, we'll be at that 700 mark. We're over 650 now with Heading Home, our Housing First model. I know they're going to talk to you about a new housing initiative for families today. Greg will mention that in a little bit. But we're also able to tell our community that if we do things smart, if we do the right thing and do it smart, in fact we call it Better Way, the smart way to do the right thing, we can actually save you money that we can then reinvest in our community. And by housing 650 chronically homeless, medically vulnerable, frankly, people that are most likely to die on the streets, people that are going to end up in the emergency room every day, some of them, who are going to end up every day having firefighters come help them in their time of crisis, have our police officers come help them in time of crisis, taking all of these resources just to survive. If we can get them housed and we get them surrounded and connected to services, we've been able to house 650 people and save you $5 million as a community. Now, we can take those $5 million, like I said earlier, we can put those back, we can plow those right back into the community. We can do other things with them. So don't ever let anybody tell you that we can't do something here. We can do anything we want to do as a city. If we just say yes, believe in ourselves, roll up our sleeves. This is a can-do place. You all know that. You've been here a long time. I've been here a long time. There's nothing we can't tackle if we do it ourselves. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit later this morning in my 25 minutes or so that I have about another area that I need you to step up this morning as a faith community. Need you to work with me to lead the way. I'll mention that here in just a little bit. It's something we can all do today. Let me hit just a little bit on public safety, because that's a big issue right now in the city of Albuquerque. After 4 of the lowest crime rates in history, my first term, all of a sudden we noticed that crime started going up kind of rapidly, and we started noticing some of this around the country as well. Some of our cities that are peer cities around the country are starting to see a little bit of this. It's different in each community of what's happening. Well, let me address a little bit about what's happening here and what we're trying to do about it, and making sure we're not just taking a lock people up and throw away the key approach, but really trying to be smart about what we're doing. I gave a speech not too long ago to the Economic Forum, and I brought a lot of charts and graphs. And one of the charts and graphs that I brought, I think, is really what pulls us back in our administration based on information we have from PhD researchers and independent researchers, and also working with our new district attorney, Raul Torres. We had an overcrowded jail a couple of years ago. We've had an overcrowded jail for a long time. We have a jail that was built for, I'm going to get the numbers a little wrong, so hang with me. It was designed to hold about 2,200 inmates. At one point when I took over as mayor, there was a little over 3,000 people in the jail. There's a 20-year-old lawsuit called the McClendon lawsuit. It's an overcrowding situation lawsuit. It's a consent decree, I believe. And so the county who runs the jail is in charge of making sure that they get down below crowded jail. So for a long time they were working on, we actually were sending, I think, prisoners to Texas that were overflowing the jail. So something had to be done. So there's a new movement around the country, a criminal justice reform movement that really is trying to focus in on who's in jail, why they're in jail, what risk they are to the community, and are the things that we can do to intervene so that they don't have to be in jail. Very, very worthy goal. So there's a criminal justice reform council that was put together, decisions were made, there were some algorithms put together to try to do some math on who would most likely do harm if they weren't in jail, thinking that, that there's people in jail that frankly aren't dangerous, but if we can get them some help, better than having them in jail for lots of reasons. Long story short, over a period of a year and a half or so, 2 years, 3 years, 2,000 people were let out of jail. At one point recently, we were down to 1,100 people in jail. And so we are going through a process with money that we brought in from the Bloomberg Foundation to try to identify what's going on. So we have a researcher that looks at the chart, and as you see the jail population going like this, you see the crime almost identically going up, especially for auto theft and other things, which makes a little bit of sense. Pastor will tell you a lot of folks, that have a drug addiction will steal to supply, to support that habit. So I'm one of these guys that believes, people should be in jail if you're afraid of them, not just mad at them. But it looks like to us that maybe that algorithm overswung to a certain extent. Not that we had to put 2,000 people back in jail. So we started an alert program to try to identify individuals we really feel like until they get the help that they need, they really are a danger in our community, they really are doing a lot of harm. And so we are working with our new district attorney to try to be very focused on those individuals, and then work with the individuals that we think we can get help to get the help. So just so you know, there's a path forward here. I don't know what the number out of those 2,000, it's not the same. It's just 2,000 is the number of the jail population. So it went from 3,000 to 1,000. Our jail's built for 2,200. I think the McClendon allows 1,900 or so. So the big question is, we have a tough decision to make as a community. How do we go after the folks that aren't getting the help that they need, that are out there doing harm in our community over and over again, the people that our police are arresting over and over again? How do we address that? And I have a lot of confidence in our new district attorney, who's working almost every day with Chief Eden, and we're going to focus on those individuals that we think need to be focused on, build the best cases that we can, make sure that those cases are put together in a way that justice is served, but that some of the folks that are doing a lot of harm aren't in a position to do that. On the other hand, we are also in a time of actually, after a number of years of a declining population in our police department, I believe we've turned that corner. We did a study a couple of years ago that says if you base it on how much work you have, call volume, the kinds of calls. We had a researcher come in from, I think, Chicago. Dr. Weiss was his name, would do this. And we landed on 1,000 officers as being the amount that it takes to do the workload. We got as low as 830. And as you know, and you may not know, in fact, you probably don't know, the first year I was in office, the state of New Mexico did away with a program called Return to Work. Return to Work allowed us for 23 years in New Mexico, just like Arizona, Texas, and other states do, to rehire an officer. So an officer could retire, you could hire them back to go to the front lines. They're not going to get in the way of promotions for other officers, but they're going to be available to take calls for service. We lost that in 2010. I think it was at the time, I think it was Governor Richardson's last session, I think, right? Yeah, I think it was in 2010, that last 30-day or 60-day session. That came about because we had some high-profile cases in Albuquerque where some civil servants were retiring on Friday, coming back to work on Monday, same desk, same job, same salary. Now you got a retirement and a salary. You need a double dipping. Legislature needed to take some action to stop the abuse, but unfortunately threw the baby out with the bathwater. And we've been asking ever since to get that back, and I have not been able to get that back for you. So since then, we've had 345 officers retire, some of them in their early 40s, and no chance to bring them back to the Albuquerque Police Department. So they're going to other places. You can always advocate as a faith community to our legislators that, hey, that return to work. By the way, we studied it, and it will not hurt the pension program to do that. So let's maybe try to get that back for our next mayor, because we want our next mayor to have that opportunity. So between what the work that the DA is doing, the work that APD is doing, we have the biggest recruiting classes ever. We've turned that tide. Looks like we're going up by next May, which will be about 6 months into the next mayor's new term. All things considered, we think we have in the queue to get about 925 to 930 officers. I know our next mayoral candidates are all focused on continuing that trend and getting that back to whatever number they and the community deem required. And so I think that's moving in the right direction as well. Something that's moving in the right direction right now is the economy, actually, believe it or not. If you go back to the recession in Albuquerque, we hit 2007 with a job peak like a lot of cities around the country did. From 2007 to 2009, we lost 23,000 jobs, almost 24,000 jobs in the city of Albuquerque. I took office, we lost another maybe 6,700 jobs until the bottom of the recession, which is in about 2012 here. The good news is since then we've had a very steady income. We've added 25,000 jobs back just since 2012. We're now growing faster than some of our peer cities. We're growing faster than the United States average on certain months in the city of Albuquerque. Leading the way is healthcare. I think the Medicaid expansion that the governor took did a lot of good from that sector standpoint. And so a lot of the jobs you see out there, about 9,000 of those jobs are in the are in the healthcare business. Construction's booming again. I think our permits are up, Gary, 270% on the cost of permits over the last 3 years or so, 3 to 5 years. So we're starting to make a nice recovery. We're almost back to peak employment. The United States even is not back to peak employment yet. So I think we're tracking pretty good. It took us a while to get that engine going, but some of the work we're doing, that Gary's doing with entrepreneurship, working from our migrant community all the way through our serial entrepreneurs to our PhDs to our folks in the labs and the university. A lot of things going on here that are very interesting that will provide a lot of opportunities. So that elevator is definitely going up. So we think we're going to hand off the city in a way that there's always challenges when you get here, and there's going to be challenges when you leave. And those challenges change over time with the national economy, with trends, with lots of different things that come up and that you have to deal with. But for all intents and purposes, I've got 6,000 people that work in the city of Albuquerque, and they get up every day and they're going to leave a lot of things better than we found them. And that's what you want to do. That's a basic goal. I imagine that's your goal as pastors as well. You know, you want to take over something. You want to build on what the last person did. You want to leave it a little bit better than you found it in as many areas as you can, and then you let the next person take it over. So we're going to spend a lot of time in the next 90 days working with our candidates, with your new mayor, to make sure that they have a chance to succeed. Just you have my word on that. And so we're going to do that. And it's been a lot of fun. I mean, we're going to finish this ART project. It's been very disruptive. It's going to be a real catalyst, I believe, for our community in lots of different ways. Been very disruptive. If you get a chance to go to Central Avenue, you've always been able to drive up and down Central during construction. We made sure of that. Get a chance to get out there and have a cup of coffee or breakfast or lunch or dinner at one of the restaurants along Central. That would really help. And I try to do that as much as I can as a mayor as well. You're going to have a lot of new things coming on at the zoo. The new penguin exhibit will be done about the time I leave. The building will be done. Your next mayor will introduce you to new penguins. There's going to be. We just got city council approval to negotiate the final contract with a company called Citilum. It was our competitive bidder that's going to completely relight our city. Our city in a year and a half is going to be completely relit. It took us 3 years to get to this point. We've counted every single light pole in the city of Albuquerque. Anybody want to guess how many there are? 32,000. I'll say that. I was going to play a little raffle game here. We own about 20,000 of them. B&M owns about 12,000 of them. So we're working with B&M to think about what they're going to do with theirs. But we're going to do about a $20 million lighting upgrade for you as a community. It's going to be nicer light. Everything's been gauged to make sure that the temperature of the light's right. We're going to go to LEDs. It's going to save you millions of dollars a year. It's going to pay for itself. So no increases for you. It's going to take lots of carbon emissions out of the air. From that standpoint, from an environmental standpoint, I think it'll be like taking, what's the last number, Corey, 20 to like 3,000 houses off the grid or something like that? Or 30,000 houses off the grid. I mean, it's a big deal from an environmental standpoint. I didn't have my notes on. Probably Corey has one, just don't have it on the right page. But we're going to do that. So we're going to maybe get the first light bulb in while we're mayor, which next mayor is going to get to introduce you to that project. It's going to really help with crime. It'll help with light pollution. There'll be less light pollution, so you can see the sky better. And then, of course, in the neighborhoods, it's all been engineered to make sure nice warm light in the neighborhoods. And then when you're on the arterials driving, you'll notice that you'll be able to see pedestrians and bicyclists much better. And so it's just a very, very, very positive thing. We're right in the middle of our $30 million renovation at the Sunport. I can tell you, I flew in last night. I was just praying, make sure my plane wasn't delayed. I had to be in Washington for a couple of days. I didn't want to miss this morning's breakfast, but if you've been out in Sunport lately, you'll see we're doing a $30 million renovation out there. All told, we'll have done about $900 million worth of city improvements during our 8 years. And I want to thank you. And that wouldn't happen without the support of our council. We had to basically keep government where we could afford it. And we took some of those resources and we put them out into our community, invested in our people, in our place. And we're very, very proud of that. So I don't want to cut any more into our next presentation than I need to, but this is the Clark program where this is the alpha call, okay, if you will. This before I turn it over to Greg, I want to talk to you about some of the things that you've done. You worked with us on the kindness campaign. Keep doing that. Keep pushing the kindness app to your congregations. Keep talking to people in the community. Download that kindness app. We set a goal to have 1 million acts of kindness in the city of Albuquerque over a number of years. I'm happy to report today that we're almost halfway there. We've logged just about 500,000 acts of kindness, and that is kids in the classroom, that's people letting somebody in front of them in a grocery line with one item, that's making sure somebody can merge into traffic, that's donating a kidney to somebody, that's the little things, that's the big things. That is what the heart of Albuquerque is all about. So that's one thing I need you to continue to do. Get involved with the housing program. But this is what I want you to do this morning. Corey, if you want to go ahead and start handing out some of the signature sheets. We've talked a lot lately about what's going on in the country, and Rabbi mentioned it just a little bit. Not a lot of discourse that's on the positive side in our country right now. A lot of division, a lot of things going on that, frankly, Albuquerque needs to and is rising above. And I'm very, very proud of our community for doing that. But after Charlottesville, in fact, when Charlottesville was going on, I was in New Orleans at the U.S. Conference of Mayors Leadership meeting. And we wanted to make sure that as mayors, as America's mayors, we stood up right away and we railed against intolerance. Railed against intolerance. So we came out with a statement from the U.S. Conference of Mayors. Myself and other mayors around the country wanted to make sure that we stood up, use social media, use our bully pulpit to talk about hate, to talk about bigotry, to talk about extremism. I've been on the phone with more than one of you in this room during my 8 years, in fact, some recently, where you have had incidents where you have been targeted because of your faith, you've been targeted because of your race, you've been targeted because of your beliefs, whatever it happens to be. Unacceptable. So what we did after that, a couple of days after, we came up with a compact that now 300 mayors across the country have signed, and I was one of the early signers of this. And it's a compact to combat hate, extremism, and bigotry. And you can get on the U.S. Conference of Mayors website, you can read that, but better yet, you can sign up today with me as a mayor. So today what I'm going to present to you is a faith community, and then what we're going to present to the rest of our community is a City of Albuquerque compact to combat hate, extremism, and bigotry. And I'm going to read it to you, and we're going to put some signature pages. I'm going to have Paul and Steve come up and sign with me as a mayor this morning when I'm done. But if you see fit to put down your name and your organization, feel free to do that. We're going to try to have an online version where anybody in our community can sign on and do this. And it's got 10 things that we read on as mayors. I tweak them a little bit to make it more community rather than a national thing. So some of the things we've combined, and then I put one last thing on at the end that I think you can really help with. And it says, would you be signing this morning? We say, as a leader and citizen in the Albuquerque community, I will adhere to and promote the following 10 key components to fight extremism and bigotry and to promote the fundamental principles of justice and equality that define America and our city. Number one, expressly rejecting extremism, white supremacy, and all forms of bigotry. Number two, denouncing all acts of hate wherever they occur. Number three, ensuring public safety while protecting free speech and other basic constitutional rights. Number four, calling for fully resourced law enforcement and civil rights investigations of domestic terrorism and hate crimes. Number five, elevating and prioritizing anti-bias and anti-hate programs. 6, supporting targeted communities and bringing together civic and community leaders to build trust. 7, celebrating diversity, promoting inclusivity and challenging biases. 8, promoting law enforcement and citizen training on responding to and reporting hate incidents, hate crimes, and domestic terrorism. Number 9, maintaining civil rights enforcement and strengthening hate crime laws when necessary. And this is one I added for us in Albuquerque. Encouraging, participating, and promoting in dialogue between diverse groups and individuals to build understanding and compassion. Would you sign with me? The Mayor's Compact was written in conjunction with the Anti-Defamation League, and like I say, I took some of the Mayor's Compact and I made them more city-centric, and I added the last one. But I would be so honored if you would sign this with me, if you would talk to your congregation about it. We'll put it on the city's website today, cabq.gov. You'll be able to go on cabq.gov, read it, see it, print it, talk to your congregations about this. It's time that we rise up as a community and just say this is not a place where you can bring bigotry. This is not a place where you can bring bias. This is not a place where you can practice hate. This is a place that cares for our brothers and sisters. We lift our brothers and sisters up. We are a welcoming place. Albuquerque is a place for you to thrive, to be well, to prosper. And it's a place where we're all compassionate. So I'm going to end on that and turn it over on a housing initiative. But Steve, if you and Paul come up and sign with me now, I would appreciate it. And if you could sign on today and then turn your congregations towards the website, I would appreciate it. Thank you for the prayers over the 8 years. Thank you for blessing my family and me with the opportunity to serve you. It has been the greatest blessing of our lives. It is something that we've enjoyed every single day. This is an awesome place. It's an awesome community. We have a great, meaningful, and effective faith community here. God bless each and every one of you. In a couple months, I'll see you down at the grocery store. I'll be the one wearing flip-flops, all right?